What a trip! This was so fun! So awesome! Can you believe the sunbeam? Perfect, couldn't have been better. We found this amazing lavender field. Look at this. Look at this mountain. Can you believe this? There's so much beauty in a picture of a flower. Check this out. Like, absolutely so incredibly epic. You can't give up. If you have your heart set on something, you need to keep pursuing it. Woo! Unbelievable. We made it. It's almost game time. Can't wait.
Can you believe this place? It's like all Wonderland.
I'm back. The trip is over, but wow.
Wow.
Like, wow.
It was amazing.
Welcome to the Photography Academy Summit 2021, where you will create the best photo of your life in just 5 days. Your host for this summit is the founder of Photography Academy, author of the Photo Cookbook, creator of the Photography Transformation 4-Step System, and winner of the International Nature Photographer of the Year Award from Master Photographers International. Introducing your host, Tim Shields.
Welcome to day 2 of this photography summit. I am so happy to have you here with us. It has been an incredible process so far. Day 1 was amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about day 1 and why it was amazing. And we're going to get rolling right now with day 2. I'm going to get my screen shared with you. And there it is. Add this to the stream. Great. No flicker. Let's go. So we are talking today about finding your voice in your photography, finding your own genre. And this is the summit where you are going to create the best photo of your life in just 5 days. And I want to welcome all of you who are watching from around the world. Please make a comment in the chat and tell us where you are watching from. We are broadcasting live in 2 locations on Facebook, and also we are broadcasting on YouTube. Yesterday was day 1 of this event, and it was a screaming success. I don't know where you want to go, or sorry, if you don't know where you want to go, and this is the focus from yesterday, then you are definitely not going to get there. This summit is going to help you get to where you want to go with your photography. So here is what you're going to take away from today's presentation. Number 1, learn how to be in the perfect place at the perfect time to get the best photo of your life. So many photographers think that they can take incredible photos almost by accident, and it's just not true. Today, I'm going to teach you the first step that you must complete before you can create gorgeous photos that you are proud of. And number 2, how to take sharp photos handheld. The number 1 complaint I hear in the Photography Academy community is that people are taking photos that are not sharp. They are blurry, and this is frustrating. It drives people nuts. I'm going to show you today how you can take sharp photos even if you are hand holding your camera. And number 3, I'm going to show you a variety of photography styles, and I'm going to ask you to make a decision today to choose one aspect of photography that you want to master. Just one thing. Do you think that you can master just one thing? Like, when you were a kid, did you master the skill of riding a bike? Yes. As you got older, did you learn how to drive? Probably. Did you master the skill of handwriting so that you can now pick up a pen and write a full diary if you wanted to? Yes. These are all skills that you have mastered, and you can master one skill that is inside the world of photography. And today, you are going to choose that one skill that you want to master. Yesterday, we gave away tripods and memory cards and books and t-shirts and courses, and we are going to do the same thing today. But if you want to win, then you need to stay until the end of the session. I will be holding a live draw, and I will be choosing names from the chats in Facebook and YouTube. So make sure that you stay with me until the end, and I anticipate we'll be finished in about an hour. Treat this summit like it is an opportunity. You are getting easily over $1,000 in value through the live training, through this live event, and you are here for free. But even though it is free, I want you to value the training, take it seriously. If you embrace the training, you will be able to jumpstart your photography and take it to a brand new place that you probably never thought that you could reach. So please make a comment in the chat, just so I know you're here and we can see if this chat is alive. Will you commit to going all in on yourself and investing in yourself by showing up every day for just these 5 days this week? Please drop something into the chat. So I'm going to show you your presenters for today. I'm going to be presenting on how to get yourself to the perfect place at the perfect time so that you can take the best photo of your life. I'm also going to be presenting on how you can take super sharp handheld photos. But we have more exciting speakers today. You're going to be hearing from award-winning nature and wildlife photographer David Hemings. He teaches wildlife workshops from grizzly bears in Alaska in the north all the way down to penguins in the Falkland Islands in the south, and you're going to hear from him today. You are also going to hear from Annette Dunham, and Annette is going to show you how she takes incredible fine art macro photos right outside her front door at home. Her photos are really incredible. And a big thank you to the over 2,000 people who watched the summit live on day one yesterday. Over 2,000 people on YouTube and in 2 locations on Facebook. Thousands more watched the replay videos afterwards. We had over 11,500 comments across Facebook and YouTube during yesterday's live broadcast. And for those of you watching on YouTube right now, we have a YouTube channel. It's called Tim Shields Photography. We have posted over 100 adventure photography videos on that channel that you are watching right now. If you'd like to see more adventure photography videos, then please do me the favor of clicking on the red subscribe button that's right below this video right now, and please click the little bell beside it, and that way you get a notification whenever we post a new adventure video. So to recap the challenge from yesterday, I asked you to make a declaration, and here's what the declaration was. And this is really important because you're not just sitting here consuming content. There's an interactive component to this. There's a challenge component to this event. It involves you, and the whole point is to get you to a new level in your photography. And that's what we started yesterday. So number one, I asked the question, what aspect of your photography do you want to improve the most? And number two, where do you want to go with your photography? There was an overwhelming response to the day one challenge, and I read the declarations of thousands of people who posted their own declaration online. I just want to take a look at a couple of them. David Portugal wrote, "The biggest thing I want to improve in my photography is being able to take clear, sharp photos." And over on the right side in the middle from Jackie Kretsch, "My goal for my photography quest is to produce landscape images worthy of framing. Photography has saved my sanity during COVID." In the top left, Nora Diaz, "My goal is to improve landscape photography. I want to take award-winning pictures. I want to inspire and encourage others with my photography, and I would love to create my own genre," which is what we're going to talk about today, "and sell and gift photos that I see on other people's walls." In the bottom right, Michael Robbins, declaration, "I want to improve the most in composition and sharpness. I want to sell my photos in landscape, seascape, wildlife, and macro. Go nature." So yesterday, I talked about the spectrum of your goals and the goals that are available to you. And on one end of that spectrum, like over here, we have one end of the spectrum that your goal could be that you just want to take photos that you're very proud of and that you want to print your best one and hang it on your wall at home. And that is a worthy goal. I love that goal, and everyone should have that goal. On the other end of the spectrum, way over here, is that your goal could be that you want to win awards and sell your work or teach photography. And that's the other end of the spectrum. Anywhere in between these two goals is a worthy and good objective for you. And it's worth working for and putting in the time and investing in yourself so that you can achieve that goal. The point of the day one challenge was to bring you to a place where you would verbalize your goal and make a declaration in front of others, because if you don't know where you want to go, then you are definitely not going to arrive there. So if you have not already made your declaration, then put it in the chat now. What is it that you want? Make a declaration of where and what your photography goal actually is. So are you ready to get going here? This is day 2. Who wants to create the best photo of your life? Would you like me to show you? Because I'm going to start showing you step 1 of how to create the best photo of your life. So how do you create your most amazing photo ever? There's a powerful principle that you need to remember from today's presentation. And here it is. Professional photographers create their photos, but amateur photographers take snapshots. I'm just going to say that again. Professional photographers create their photos. Amateurs take pictures. So out of every good photo that I've personally created, none of them have been spontaneous shots that I took immediately after jumping out of the car. In fact, all my best photos are planned out and researched in advance. Like, imagine, if you will, that you are in high school and there's a high school talent competition coming up. It's going to be at lunchtime in the auditorium in front of the whole school. And because you can play the guitar, you decide to compete on the stage at the talent competition. Now, the big talent competition in front of the whole school is tomorrow, and you're going to be alone on the stage in front of your entire school. Remember, this is high school. This is the stuff nightmares are made of, right? Would you, before the talent competition, practice your song in advance so that when you are on the stage in front of the microphone, you will know exactly what song you are going to play? Or would you walk onto the stage with your guitar in your hand and just wing it? Remember that story that I told you about yesterday about me standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon with my camera in my hand? Remember that I said that I realized I didn't actually know what I was supposed to be taking pictures of? Well, that's because I was winging it. And I was always winging it. That was my aha moment, was that for my entire life with my photography, I was winging it. I was just showing up and walking up onto the stage, walking up with my guitar in my hand and thinking that something awesome was going to happen. And that used to be me. And the big change was that I stopped winging it and started planning it. My issue was I didn't know what to look for. The difference between an amateur and a professional photographer is that the professionals place themselves, put themselves at the perfect place at the perfect time to capture the perfect image. This is what the professionals do to get their photos. And nothing is by accident. Nothing is a photo of opportunity. Everything is planned in advance. So let me show you visually how you can do the same thing so that your photos can be as powerful as possible. So this is a photo that I saw 3 years ago. I was working on the computer and I stumbled across this photo. It absolutely caught my eye right from the start. I was absolutely amazed at this mountaintop. And what intrigued me the most was seeing this field of grass that a farmer was apparently regularly cutting that went right to the top of a cliff, and the jagged mountain peaks behind it were like nothing I had ever seen before. And from that moment, I saw this photo. I wanted to go to this same place to get my own version of that composition, except I wanted my photo to be better than the photo that I was looking at. Now, my first problem was that I didn't know where this mountain was. Many photographers will deliberately leave out the location of their photos on their websites or on Instagram because they don't want their favorite photography location being overrun with Instagrammers. And that was the case with this photo because I couldn't find the name of the mountain and I didn't know where it was located. But the internet makes this easy to find out. Now, here's the big takeaway for you, and I'm going to show you step by step how I went through this process. If you're taking notes, and I hope that you are, then you're going to want to write this one down, because the promise of this summit is that you will create the best photo of your life in just 5 days. So here is a huge takeaway. I started creating one of the best photos of my life the moment that I saw that photo that I just showed you, this one right here. I started creating my own photo as soon as I saw this. And that's because I started my planning and my research for how I was going to go out and get my shot. So many photographers think that you take a picture at that moment when you lift your camera up to your eye and then you push the button. But if your goal is to create a gorgeous photo, like a real stunner, a real photo that you're really going to be proud of, then the creation process for that photo begins much earlier, months earlier, in this case, almost a year earlier. And I began my creation process the moment I took an interest in that photo that you see on the screen. My first goal in my research and in creating my beautiful version of this was, first, I needed to know the name of the mountain. Like, what is this place called? Where is it located? Because I wanted to go to this place and create my own version of this photo. So the first thing I did, and this is so easy to do, it's free. Nothing is, you don't need to pay for anything here. With my mouse, I moused over that image. I went right click, and there is an option, if you use Google, it's called a reverse image search, a Google reverse image search. And with one click of the mouse, without any special app, without any software, I received this result. So this is what Google showed me when I completed that one click of my mouse. And what Google did, Google compared the original image of the mountain that I really liked with billions of photos in its database, and it showed me an array of visually similar images. And within about 10 seconds, I learned that this mountain that I liked was located in northern Italy. Now that I knew where the location was, the next step was to learn exactly, okay, if I go to this mountain, where exactly do I want to stand to get in that same, to get the same composition? Like, where would I need to stand and point my camera? Like, I want to know in advance. I want to know before I go there. I don't want to be walking onto the stage with my guitar in my hand, trying to make up the song. I'm not going to wing it. I want to know it in advance. So if I'm going to go to this mountain in advance, I need to know where I'm going to stand, like exactly. So once again, Google gives us the world's most amazing tool to help us for free. And now this tool is called Google Maps. So I entered the name of the mountain into Google Maps, and this is what Google showed me. So I'm going to play a 60-second video here, and I'll show you what I saw as I got my response back on Google Maps. So take a look at the red dot. That's where the mountain is. And I zoomed in with the wheel on my mouse over the red dot. Keep looking at the red dot. That's the mountain. Now in the bottom corner, once I got really close, I could see, oh, looks like some ski runs there, ski lifts. In the bottom corner, I clicked on the satellite view mode. So now I'm in satellite view. I'm looking down like I'm looking from space. And I see in the top corner, that's the mountain peak there. Top right corner of the image, that's the mountain peak. So Google has another awesome feature. It's called 3D. In the bottom right corner, I clicked on 3D, and now I can see the three-dimensional image of that mountain. And I'm able to scroll down like this, change the orientation until the view that I was seeing kind of resembled the original photo that I saw. And from there, right where my mouse is, right in the middle where I'm circling it, that is exactly where probably that original photographer took his or her photo. And here is another snapshot of that. So the picture on the left is the original photo that I saw online, and the picture on the right is the three-dimensional view from Google Maps that I just showed you. And this confirmed for me that I had the right place and I knew where I needed to stand to get that same composition. So now I had half of the equation. There's still another half missing, but I had the first half. I knew where I needed to be. But what was missing was, when do I need to be there? When do I need to be there to get the good light? So it's vitally important for any landscape shot to be in the right place at the right time to get the good light. So there are some very inexpensive apps that you can get that will show you when the right time is to be at a specific location. I'm going to show you one in a second. So I used one of these apps to tell me what the light was going to look like in the future on a specific date. So I wanted the mountain for my photo to be bathed in warm sunlight, and I wanted the sunlight to come from the left. Like, see the dark part of the rocks? Like when this photographer took the photo, the sun was kind of coming from the right. In this case, I wanted the sun to be coming from the left. I really wanted to see those cliffs just bathed in warm orange light. So the question is, when should I be there? Because everybody knows that the sun does not set at the same place every day of the year. Everyone knows that the sun moves, the sunset location moves a little bit every day of the year. And I wanted to know where the sun would rise and where the sun would set in relation to that mountaintop on a specific date. And the answer to this question would tell me when I needed to be there. So I used a very inexpensive app, and here are the results that I got. Now, the red pin that I circled on the left is where I already knew that I needed to stand. So I placed the red pin there and I circled it for you. Now look at that big red arrow that goes to the right. That's the direction that I would need to point my camera. And I got that from the first step from Google Maps. Now look at the big red circle on the right. That's the actual mountaintop. That's that rocky, craggy peak. That's what I actually want to photograph. That's the main subject. So now you can see the red dot where I would need to stand, and you know the direction I need to point my camera, which is to the right. But where would the sun set in relation to the mountaintop? Like, where would the light source be? That's what I wanted to know. So look at that orange line on the left. That orange line is the direction that the sun will come from when it sets on a very specific day. I think this was July the 5th that I set it for when I set the date range. So on July the 5th, we know exactly the direction that the sun is going to be coming from when it sets, when it has that beautiful orangey warm light, which is the light that I wanted for my photos. And also, if I was really ambitious and I wanted to get up super early in the morning, look at the kind of to the right at the top, the yellow line. That's the direction that the sunrise will come from. So I know the sun will rise to the left of that mountain peak. So I knew with 100% confidence that on a specific date in July, there would be a beautiful warm sunset light, provided, of course, it wasn't covered in cloud, that would hit the mountain on the left side. So with only 5 minutes of very, very easy research, I knew that I wanted to be at my mountain, I'm calling it my mountain now, at a date in early July, because the sunset would be hitting the left side of the mountain, which is exactly what I wanted for the photo that I was visualizing. So now I know exactly where I'm going to stand. I now know what time the sunset is, so I know even what time of day I need to be there. I know the direction that the sun will be setting from, and I know where the sun is going to rise in the morning. I even know where the moon is going to rise in case I want to stay up late and get a moon shot. So then I made plans. I made plans to go to that mountain, and I actually went there. And when I arrived with Leah, my wife, I was full of confidence. And this is a big deal what I'm about to say right now. I was walking onto the stage with my guitar in my hands in front of the whole high school, but this time I'm walking onto the stage and I know exactly what song I am going to play. I was not winging it like I did 11 years ago on the edge of the Grand Canyon. I had the belief and the confidence that my photo was going to be a good one, and that is because I knew in advance exactly where I was going to stand. I knew in advance exactly the right date that I needed to be there on so that the sun would hit the mountain just right and bathe it in warm sunset light. I visualized the composition that I wanted so that when I got there and set up my camera, probably in a rush, it's always a rush when you get there, you're always arriving late for some reason, so that when I was setting up my camera on that mountaintop for the very first time in unfamiliar territory, I would know exactly how to frame up that composition. I knew, and because I visualized in advance how I would frame it up. So you remember me talking about the 4-step system, which is so important to my photography process. This is step 1 in the 4-step system, what I just showed you. This is an abbreviated version. There's more to it, but I don't have time to teach the whole thing here. But I knew exactly where I needed to be. I knew exactly when I needed to be there. I visualized the composition that I wanted before I took the photo. That's step 1. There's just, so would you like to see the photo that I took when I actually arrived there? Let's go full screen for this. Drum roll, put in the chat. Should I post this? Should I post this photo? After all this preparation, all this lead up, do you want to see what the photo was when I finally went there with my guitar in my hand, already knowing that I'm going to be singing Hotel California? Here we go. So here's my image. This is not a photo of opportunity that was taken by accident, but rather it was planned in advance. And when I arrived on this mountaintop, there were no surprises. I go back to the Grand Canyon again, 11 years ago. There was no hunting around aimlessly looking for a good composition. There was no more winging it and making it up as I went. Instead, I knew the composition I wanted even before I arrived. And this photo is one of the best photos I have ever taken in my life. I love this photo. I am proud of it. And for me, that's what matters the most. And that's what matters the most for you and your photos, that you love your photos and that you are proud of your photos. So to put some icing on the cake of this photo, it won a gold award at the International Image Challenge from Master Photographers International. So when you hear my story about how I created this photo, do you think you could do the same thing at a location of your choosing? It doesn't have to be in Italy. It could be a location that's close to home. If you were shown the easy way to do that type of research that only took me a few minutes, could you do the same thing using some free online tools? And I think obviously the answer is yes, absolutely. You can do the same thing. If you have a computer, you too can use Google Maps to plan out the best photo of your life, just like I did. Now, I traveled a long way to get this photo, but you don't need to travel anywhere to take amazing photos. So I want to introduce you to Annette Dunham. She creates fine art macro photos like this one right outside her door. She doesn't need to travel, and you don't need to travel either. So let's hear what Annette has to say about how she takes fine art macro photos. With me is Annette Dunham. She is with us from Norway. Annette, you have some amazing macro photos, and this one really has caught my eye. Can you tell us, how did you take this photo?
It was just right inside my house. We have a gravel road that goes to a small lake that is close to my house. There had been raining a lot the night before, and it was a little bit early in the morning, and it just caught my eye. The droplets was like perfectly lying on the leaf. So I just bent down with my macro lens and just took it like straight down, just lying like flat on the ground. Yes.
Well, it looks absolutely fantastic. You've got this other one of a dandelion, which just looks so cool. Tell us about that shot.
Yes, I often go for walks around a lake that is close to my house. And sometimes I plan my shots, but sometimes I also just, I go for a walk with my camera with the intention of taking photos. But I try to just use my eyes and just look for something that speaks to me, that I feel something. And this dandelion was sort of perfect and imperfect at the same time. And that's something that I really like. It's like they're like cute, and you can sort of see a personality in the flowers or in the weeds. And also that I saw in this one. I look for the ones that speak to me sort of on an emotional level, sort of, yeah. And that's what this one did. It sort of was standing there like looking up.
Another photo I want to ask you about is this round glass ball. It's called a lens ball, just made of glass. How did you take this shot?
Yes, we have actually a beach pretty close, 20 minutes driving. And I go there sometimes to take sunsets. And I was there for a sunset, and the light was really golden. And I wanted to try an experiment with this lens ball, making it sort of the hero, as you say, and having the beautiful light in the background and see how it was reflecting. So I put it on the ground, and I laid down on the ground like completely in the sand to take the shot from below sort of and straight at it. I was trying to get the water to reflect in the lens ball.
So these are just 3 photos out of a really amazing portfolio that you have. And it seems like you have now started specializing in these close-up macro photos. Would you say that that's true?
Yes, it is definitely true. It's sort of like I found my voice or my thing. There's something with the macro photography that really spoke to me.
How does it make you feel inside as the artist and as the creator?
It just feels amazing. It's like the best feeling ever. Just taking the photos, I think it gives me a sense of sort of peace and just feel like your heart sings somehow, or I'm not sure how to explain it. It makes me feel very proud actually, and very, very happy. Yes, very happy. My name is Annette Dunham. I live in Norway and I love taking macro photos.
So did you hear what she said there? She said, when I asked, how does it make you feel? And she said, it makes her heart sing. And I love hearing that so much. I think she has absolutely amazing photos. And what is so incredible about her photography is that she's able to create these photos while out on a walk, just walking from home. And what she's doing, we're going to take a quick look at some of her photos in a little more detail here. What she's doing, and the reason she has found such success through her photography, is that she has very clear main subjects, and she helps to make them even more clear and make her main subjects stand out even more. Like, look at this photo on your screen. Look at the background. There is no background. The background is just dark, and there's no clutter in the photo. And I call this, with using the principle of storytelling, and we're going to get more into compositions as we go further into the summit, so I don't want to take a deep dive here, but just the gist of it is this. In every story, there is a hero, and there is usually a villain or more than one villain. And the point of creating the ability to create a powerful composition like this one is to crop out the villains. This is the biggest mistake that beginner photographers make, is they have too many villains in their frame. They have too much clutter, too much noise, too many distractions, just overall too much stuff in the photo. You need the one thing. And this is what Annette has perfected, is highlighting the one thing. And she doesn't just do it through finding a composition. She also is continuing that process of making her composition powerful through her editing. So she darkened the background, therefore everything in the background is no longer causing any distractions. Look at all three of these photos. You might say to yourself as well, by the way, I'm just too busy. I don't have time to create gorgeous photos, but it simply isn't true. All you have to do is look at Annette's photos. She has a busy life. She has 3 children. The youngest is still a baby. She's an administrator in the Photography Academy Facebook group. She has lots going on in her life, just like you do, but she makes the time to go for intentional photo walks where she captures simple compositions and turns them into gorgeous works of art with very little time spent on the computer. And what I appreciate so much about Annette's photography is that she has created her own genre and style. Did you hear from her interview? She said, I have found my own voice. This is the theme of today's summit session, is to find your voice and what your voice is going to be, and to make a decision consciously about what your voice is going to be. She created her own voice through her photography. Her photos are unique to her. She's specialized in this one area. I'll call it fine art macro photos. And for some of you, it could be bird photos, it could be landscapes, it could be flower photos, or it could be fine art macro, just like Annette does. So I want to show you what her photos look like before and after the post-processing. Would you like to see that? Drop it in the comments, please. Let me know if you want to see this or if I should just move on. I'm looking at the chat and I'm not seeing it bump. So if you want to see some before and afters of Annette's photos so you can see what she does, pop it in the chat. Okay, here we go. So, okay, it's actually the next slide, but look at this. Yeah, I'm coming to it. Just one more slide first. Look at this photo. It's essentially a one color image. The main color is orange and the background is almost black. It's just one color. Think of the simplicity here. One main subject, one color, no distractions. Okay, now before and afters. This is the screen from Annette's computer. She uses an app that's called Lightroom. Lightroom, in a way, is similar to Photoshop. You've heard of Photoshop. Some of you may use Photoshop. I don't really use Photoshop very much at all because Photoshop is complicated and it was not designed for photographers, but Lightroom is designed for photographers and it's so easy to use. The photo on the left is the original picture straight out of Annette's camera, and the photo on the right is the finished piece of artwork after a short editing session. So the key thing to notice here is that Annette removed the green and yellow color tones out of the original, and she also darkened the entire image so that the main subject becomes more the hero of the story. You're going to hear me say a lot, just one thing, just one thing. I think back to that movie from the 80s, The Hunt for Red October, where Sean Connery was the captain of a submarine. He was Russian and he needed to communicate with the Americans, and he gave an order, one ping only. And when I'm in the field, I literally hear his voice say that, one ping only. And that reminds me to find a composition of just the one thing. And that is what Annette has done here. So again, here's another before and after. The green and the yellow tones have been removed, and anything that looked yellow has been replaced with orange tones. And the background has been darkened so that there are no distractions in the image. And there's one clear hero to this picture and one clear hero to this story. There are no distractions. And here's the final one. Same thing. The green and the yellow tones have been removed from the original on the left. And the overall image, like right across the whole image, was darkened very dramatically. But then Annette, it's like she shined a spotlight on the main subject to brighten it back up. And when I say she shined a light on it, I don't mean that she actually physically had a flashlight when she was out in the field. What she did is that she selectively brightened up the center of the image in Lightroom. Like she painted in some light in Lightroom, just like an artist uses a paintbrush. Annette brushed in light over top of that main subject, which means that the eye of the viewer will be attracted to exactly what Annette wants you to look at, and she darkened the areas that she didn't want you to look at. So the final result of Annette's photography is that she has created her own art. Remember that in fine art photography, our objective is not to document reality. We are not photojournalists. We're not crime scene photographers who have a specific objective of only documenting reality. We are fine art photographers, and that's what you are. You're a fine art photographer, and we have a very different goal, which is to create our own fine art that we are very, very proud of, and that is pleasing to the eye. So the final result of Annette's photography is that she's created her own art. And remember, that she is sticking with one genre and one theme for her photography. She's specializing in one aspect of photography, and she's mastering it. And this is how you get good at something. You focus in on one thing and you repeat that process over and over. And in doing so, you get better and better. So I want to now introduce you to our second speaker today. I got to make that full screen just because it's just such an incredible picture. His name is David Hemings. He is an award-winning wildlife photographer, and he hosts workshops such as grizzly bears in Alaska and grizzly bears in British Columbia, birds in Newfoundland, birds in Costa Rica and Peru, penguins in the Falkland Islands. I went on one of David's workshops just 9 months ago, and we had an incredible experience because we photographed a grizzly bear mother who charged us. And I'm going to show you next, after David's interview, video from that experience today. One of the most compelling aspects of landscape photography is when you can capture emotion that speaks to your viewers. And there is absolutely no better way to capture the emotion than to photograph baby animals with their mother. There's something about these types of photos that captivate viewers. David is an expert in capturing this type of emotion through his photography. So let's hear what David has to say. Welcome to the Photography Academy Summit. I am so honored to be introducing David Hemings. He's an internationally acclaimed award-winning nature photographer, wildlife photographer. He's had his work published by National Geographic and Canadian Geographic. He puts on wildlife workshops practically everywhere in the world, as far south as the Falkland Islands and Galapagos Island, Ecuador, grizzly bears in British Columbia, brown bears in Alaska, Trinidad, deer in Alberta, Newfoundland, bald eagles in Alaska. It's so awesome to have you here, David. I have a question for you. You specialize in wildlife photography. Out of all the possible genres of photography, what is special about wildlife photography?
A lot of it goes back to where you grew up, what you enjoyed doing, what you liked when you were a kid. And as soon as I was old enough, my dad took me camping, fishing, and I just loved being in the outdoors. I was fascinated by birds, the colors on them, just the whole aura of being in nature and being outside. It's something that started at a very young age and just stuck with me.
So you have taught thousands of people how to photograph wildlife. What kind of reactions do you see in your clients when they capture the one? You know, they're out on a wildlife photography trip and they capture that one awesome photo. How do they react? What does it mean for the average photographer?
I had a woman almost scream, break out in tears, and give me a big hug and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you got me that picture." And that one happened to be of a snowy owl. So the reactions usually are somewhat excited reactions. They're happy, obviously. And I love watching it. I love watching people react to that because I know exactly what they're feeling. For those of us who enjoy nature photography, whether you're just getting into it or whether you've been doing it for years, for me, and I think for a lot of the participants, that never changes. That feeling of excitement of getting a new shot, a great shot, especially if it's a species of whatever, whether it's a bird or a mammal or an animal that you haven't seen or photographed before. I don't think that feeling ever goes away. And that's one of the best things about what I do is seeing that happiness and appreciation that people have when they get that shot.
You lead workshops to photograph grizzly bears, birds, foxes, polar bears in Manitoba, penguins. Is wildlife photography a learnable skill?
Absolutely. It's a learnable skill. The camera part of it is surprisingly simple. Some people are very intimidated by their cameras and their scenes. It's absolutely learnable. It's just the most important thing is getting out of the house and getting out there.
Is there wildlife photography that is available to everyone wherever they are right now?
Great question. And I would say that in most cases, yes, birds are great subjects to practice on, and almost everybody has a park with a pond in it. But my answer to that is because they're everywhere. I mean, you can't really step out your door anywhere these days. There's birds.
Awesome. So if someone who is listening to you now was considering to start to specialize in wildlife photography, what would be your advice to them?
Try to find out what excites you. Try different things. Photograph lots of different subjects in different situations, whether that be hiking. If you enjoy hiking, it's a great way to add another element to the hiking, is to do photography while you're hiking. If you like to be in a canoe or a kayak or a boat, try as much as you can out in a canoe or a kayak or boat, and you'll probably enjoy everything. But before too much time, you'll realize really what gets you excited.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have. So thank you so much, David. And if you're listening now and you want to see more of David's work or check out his photo tours, you can visit hemingsphototours.com. Thanks so much for joining us, David.
Well, thanks for having me, Tim. It was a pleasure.
So when I look at David's portfolio, it is just mind-blowing to me to see the variety of shots that where he's been able to successfully create tack sharp photos where one animal, just remember, just one thing is the main subject and there are no distractions in the frame. Like, look at this smooth and uncluttered background where the main subject pops right off the screen. And this is the hallmark of success really for a wildlife photo. The ability to take extreme close-ups that are sharp and crisp. It's absolutely fundamental. And if you want to take outdoor photos of any type, you are going to need to know how to take photos that are sharp, because a sharp photo is what separates amateur from professional photography. And there is nothing more challenging in outdoor photography than to capture a sharp photo of an animal or bird that's moving fast. And this means that you, as the photographer, have to plan in advance exactly what the single setting is on your camera that will result in the freezing of motion so that you can capture an incredible photo like this one. And the other aspect of this type of photography is how fast your one moment of opportunity will open and close literally in the blink of an eye. So as I mentioned, 9 months ago, my wife and I went on a David Hemings grizzly bear workshop in British Columbia. I took this photo. Would you like to know what the single most important component of successful wildlife photography is? Please drop your answer into the chat. So yes, you need to complete the right type of planning and research in advance. Yes, you need to actually see the animals. Yes, you need to create a powerful composition, but none of that has any value if your photos are not coming out sharp. So a photo that is tack sharp makes the difference between an amateur snapshot and the gorgeous photo that you want to hang on your wall. So the first component of taking a photo that is tack sharp is to be ready and to know how fast an opportunity can come and go. You'll sometimes only have a split second to get your shot because animals are not in the habit of posing like they are in a fashion show. As much as we don't like this, they are not interested in putting on the perfect show for you, which means if you're not ready, you're going to miss out on your opportunity, and you may only get one opportunity during your entire photo session. So what I'm going to tell you applies equally to landscape photos, macro photos, and outdoor photos of any kind. It doesn't just apply to wildlife. So I am about to show you a video where this bear charged us. Do you want to see it? And I'm not showing it until I see some action in the chat. And I see that, yes, show us the video. We were in a boat in a river, and this bear was walking along the shoreline. She was a mother. She had 2 cubs that were hiding in the grass behind. And without warning, this grizzly bear began running in shallow water in our direction. I knew from my research that I conducted as part of step 1 of the 4-step system of creating a beautiful photo that the photo I really wanted, the photo I visualized before this trip, was a bear looking right at the camera and preferably running in shallow water. So here was the setup on this particular day. There were 3 of us in the boat. There was David driving the boat. Leah was using her camera with a long lens to shoot video, and I was using my camera with a long lens to shoot still photos. And because we had long lenses, we weren't really close. The bear appears closer than it really was. So let's watch what happened. I'm going to roll Leah's video right now. And what I want you to notice, the takeaway, the reason I'm showing you this, is how fast the opportunity presents itself and how quickly that window closed. It seems like the whole thing was over in 2 seconds. So here we go. There, did you see how fast that was? That run was just like lightning. It was 2 seconds. And this is, I'm going to show you now the sequence, the series of photos that came out of my camera. And remember again, that quick run was like literally under 2 seconds, maybe just the running part of it. So let's look at all of the photos that came out of my camera. You heard my camera in the background there going click, 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 click. And so you're going to see those right now. So this is the very first photo when the bear turned in our direction, started walking towards us. And now it's just starting to run. And even though it looks like the bear is not moving in this shot, you can tell by the splashes, it's definitely moving quickly right here. And now it's in a full run. And here she comes, headed our way. And look at that expressionless look on this grizzly bear's face. And this is the one out of the sequence that I like the most. There's action here. There's drama. The water's splashing up. You can see the water being thrown into the air by her raised paw. And from a photography standpoint, what I want you to notice is the level of detail in the fur and on the face of this grizzly. This is a tack sharp photo. And this is what your objective is when you are taking any type of photo, even if it's landscapes, cityscapes, macro, birds in flight, or even a portrait photo of your best friend. You want your photos to be tack sharp. So let's continue with the bear run and see where this ended up. Now the bear is in a full on run. And I have to say, I was so glad we were in a boat in deep water. Like, how would you feel if this mother grizzly bear was coming at you. I'm kind of curious to see what you're going to say in the chat here. So drop a comment in there. How would you feel? And this one is interesting. It's a nice sharp photo and I like it, but it almost looks like she's waving hello, but I can assure you she was not waving hello, more like the opposite. And then she hit the land, but was still throwing up a little bit of water spray, which is really cool, and still moving pretty quick. And again, look at that look on the face, just no expression whatsoever. Like there is no happy smile, nice to see you guys kind of thing. And now she's putting on the brakes and she's slowing down and the run has stopped and she began to walk. And this is the last photo I'll show you from that quick series. So the takeaway here, the reason I showed you this is regarding the ability to capture photos that are sharp in any genre of photography. And that's what I'm going to teach you right now. How do you take tack sharp photos when you are hand holding your camera? It's easy to take sharp photos when your camera is on a tripod and it's steady, it's rock solid like we do in landscape a lot. But many of our photos need to be handheld because we need the ability to aim the camera very quickly, or we need to be able to bend down really close to a flower. And doing this on a tripod can be very difficult. So there are many times when hand holding your camera is the easiest option. So first, there are two kinds of blur, and you need to be aware of what both kinds of blur are. You'll get focus blur, that's the first kind of blur, when your camera is focusing on the wrong thing. So you see the background in this photo that's on the screen here, it's blurry, and the blur is caused by focus blur. So in this case, whoever took this photo, it's an intentional focus blur on the background. The photographer wanted it that way. But the second type of a blurry photo is called motion blur. And this is what I'm going to teach you about today. It's how to take a tack sharp photo that is sharp because it does not have motion blur. Now, motion blur is caused by just one thing. It is caused by a shutter speed that is too slow. When you're holding your camera in your hand, even though you think, I want to hold my camera in my hand here. Here's my golden oldie film camera. So when you're holding this camera in your hand, even though you think that you're holding it rock solid, your hands are actually causing motion. You always have camera shake that is the result of your hand holding. No matter how hard you maybe pull it up to your body and lock it all in tight, no matter what you do, there will still be camera shake. Your camera is not rock solid. And that is what causes motion blur on your photos, which means you get a blurry photo. But motion blur gets worse when you zoom in a lens. Now, if you were to use a long lens like we were using that day, this is a long lens. This is a 500 millimeter lens. If you're using a long lens and you're zooming in, the motion blur gets even worse. So think about it this way. Think about it as if you're looking through a drinking straw. It's a paper drinking straw, okay? So you're looking through a drinking straw, but this drinking straw is 5 feet long. So you're looking through a 5 foot long drinking straw. So as you're holding it, even the tiniest little movement, the tiniest imperceptible shake of your hands means that your view through the straw is going to be bouncing all over the place. Like, have you ever used a telescope to look at the moon or to look at the stars? And you've got that telescope zoomed in really, really tight. And if you even touch that telescope, even practically when you're not touching it, it's shaking. Your view through the viewfinder is shaking no matter what you do. So this is motion blur. And the same thing happens with your camera. It did not used to be as bad with the cameras we had a decade ago because those cameras did not have sensors that are as sensitive as the cameras sensors we have today. The tiniest, most minuscule amount of movement will cause motion blur in your photos when you are hand holding your photos. So there are two kinds of subjects in this world when we think about getting a sharp photo. The first type is a subject that is not moving. So a landscape. This would be your macro photo or your flower, as long as the wind isn't blowing it. Most landscapes, anything that is not in motion, your subject is not moving. So I'm going to give you a very, very simple rule to memorize. This will be so easy for you, and I hope it stays with you for the rest of your photography life, because it's going to help you to take photos that are tack sharp for subjects that are not moving when you are hand holding your camera. So here it is. Get your pen and paper out and make a note of this simple rule. If you are hand holding your camera and you're taking a photo of a subject that's not moving, then you need to ensure that the shutter speed on your camera is a minimum of the amount of zoom on your lens times 2. Let me explain that. Now, the amount of zoom on your lens is known as the focal length. If you look at your lens, there will be numbers on your lens. And if you can turn a lens zoom ring on your lens, you can look at those numbers. That indicates the focal length. The more you zoom in with your lens, the higher that number will be. So if you're using a 200 millimeter zoom lens and you're zoomed in at 200 millimeters, which is a lot of zoom, then you want to double that number of 200, which gives you 400. And that needs to be your minimum shutter speed for a subject that is not moving. When you use this simple formula, you will avoid creating motion blur in your photos because of camera shake when you're hand holding your camera. So for example, if you were using a lens and you're zoomed in with the lens and you look at your lens and you say, okay, I'm zoomed in at 100 millimeters right now. You need to double that number so you get 200 millimeters. And then that will be your minimum shutter speed, 1/200 or 1/200th of a second. So you can easily remember this super simple rule. It's going to help you out in a big way. Look at the amount of zoom that your lens is set to and then double that number. And that will be the minimum shutter speed that you need to be using if you're hand holding your camera. Now, remember, this was for subjects that are not moving. Let's talk about subjects that are moving because your shutter speed will need to be faster. I would recommend that if you have a moving subject that is on the ground, so I'm not talking about a bird in flight, which is even faster. We're talking about subjects on the ground, animals that are walking around, maybe a little bit of a run. You need to take that zoom number from your lens, the first zoom number, and that's the focal length, and you need to triple it. And then you will arrive at your shutter speed. So for example, if you're photographing these bears that are on the screen and you're using a 200 millimeter lens, so you're zoomed into 200 millimeters, then you need to triple it, which gives you the number 600, and that will be your minimum shutter speed. If your subject is moving quite fast, then I would even quadruple that number to make your shutter speed even faster. And with birds in flight, the shutter speeds need to be even faster than that. All you need to do is remember this simple rule. It will help you to avoid motion blur in all your photos that you take handheld. It's such an easy rule to remember. And this is one of the 2 steps that you need to accomplish to take tack sharp photos to avoid motion blur. So I want to know, is what I said too complicated, or are you getting this? Because it really is simple. Are you understanding why it is that so many of your photos are coming out blurry? This is literally the number one complaint I hear from photographers is that they're upset that their photos are coming out blurry. It's often caused by leaving your camera in auto mode, which means your camera is going to decide what your shutter speed is going to be. And you can't allow your camera to make that decision. You need to make that decision. So if you want a tack sharp photo and you're holding your camera in your hand, then you are going to need to use this rule that I just told you. Now, there is another component to having tack sharp photos, and that's regarding avoiding focus blur, but I'm just going to stick to the one aspect today. So let's take a look at some other genres of photography, because the goal of today is to bring you to a place where you're going to decide what you want to get good at. We're coming to a close here. We still got our prizes coming up. We're going to take a brief look at a few other genres. I personally love landscape photography for so many reasons, some of which are because you can travel locally. You don't need to go far from home. You can explore your local parks, your state parks, or if you're more ambitious, you can travel farther away. Landscape photography helps you stay active. It keeps you exploring and searching and researching because you're always looking for new places, new compositions, and it helps you stay in touch with the weather. And it causes you to plan for the seasons so that you can capture weather events, which are awesome to photograph. Like just for example, after a snowfall. So let's take a look at a couple of landscape photography examples. Now, this is a photographer named Zach Doler, and his Instagram handle is Calibrius. He has 167,000 followers on Instagram, which is a very large following for a landscape photographer. He's just 21 years old. He lives in British Columbia. He's specialized in using specific color tones on all his photos. So when you look at his overall Instagram feed and you look at all his photos, you can see there's a consistent color theme throughout every photo. And this is what he has become good at. He has intentionally chosen to create his own voice through his photography by using specific color tones of reds and oranges. So this photo is typical of the look in all his photos, and this is now his trademark style. And you'll notice you're not seeing photos from 100 different genres in his Instagram feed. He's sticking with one same genre of photos with the same overall look or color tone, and it's what made him successful. He chose one thing to get good at, and he stuck with it. This is key. And here are the photos from Hobby Sons. You're going to be hearing from him tomorrow, but what I want you to look at now is the look across all of Hobby's photos. He processes his photos very intentionally to have a dreamy and almost fantasy dramatic look. His photos are dark, and he creates this look on purpose using Lightroom. And this is what Hobby is known for, and he only started photography for the very first time in 2017. So this is his voice, these dreamy, dramatic, fantasy-style landscape photos. Now, whether or not you like this particular style, this is the style he chose, and he has become very successful with it. This photo is dark and moody. It's exactly the look that he was going for with this photo, and this is his genre. He chose to get good at it, and he has become very good. Let's look at Tong Nguyen. Tong lives in Garden Grove, California, and he only started macro photography in 2018 when he bought his first macro lens. A macro lens allows you to focus on things that are much closer to the camera than a normal lens will allow. So this means you can make something very small appear very large in your photo. And I am so inspired by Tong's macro photos of flowers and especially ladybugs. I've always loved little red ladybugs. Ladybugs are awesome for some reason, and seeing them in his photos makes them just come alive. Like, look at the photo on the right where you see the reflection of the ladybug off the water. It's simply amazing. And when we go full screen on one of his photos and look at the level of detail that he's captured, you have to sit back in awe and admire the art that he has created here. And this is the style or the genre of photography that he chose to get good at. And once again, in his photos, you see a consistent theme across all of Tong's photos. He's not posting photos of mountaintops followed by his last fishing trip, followed by pictures of the family holiday. He's posting a consistent set of photos in the same consistent genre, which is high quality, tack sharp, up close macro photos of flowers and bugs. And notice that the background of his photos are smooth, non-textured. There's no distractions in the background. And that means that the subject in his photos pops right off the background. There's a very clear main subject in every one of his photos. Remember, just one thing only. So we'll talk about this type of composition later on in the summit, but absolutely beautiful work that Tong Nguyen creates. And you can follow him on Flickr. His Flickr handle is right there. Another genre of photography by Alison Pollock, going even smaller than regular macro. These are microscopic level mushrooms that are only possibly 1 millimeter tall. She hunts for these out in the forest, and she has perfected the art of taking these microscopic size pictures of these mushrooms, and her results are amazing. And this is her genre. It's the one type of photography that she decided to get good at. Then there's wildlife photography as another genre. These photos were taken by Paul Nicklin, and he has mastered the art of taking wildlife photos in some of the most incredible places on Earth. This is the one genre he chose to get good at. His photos are not all over the map in their style, but rather they're consistent with one theme. And this is why his photos are so popular. He has 6.9 million followers on Instagram, and he works for National Geographic. He founded Sea Legacy. which is an organization using photography to promote solutions to protect our oceans. And then we have our very own Terry Martin. Terry Martin's photos are known as composites, and Terry is one of the founding members of our Photography Academy community. Terry specializes in this genre of composite photography. And what this means is that she will take numerous photos from different places and combine those photos together on her computer into one final new image. So her starting point is almost always a landscape photo, and she will usually take a photo of herself from somewhere else, and then on her computer, she will insert the photo of herself into the landscape. And this is the genre of photography that Terry has chosen to get good at, and her photos are very popular. You can follow her at Blonde Girl Photographer on Instagram. This is Joel Robison. He also creates composite photos. He takes a series of pictures and he combines them together on his computer. The result is very unusual, but this is the genre he chose to get good at. He is very popular. He has 164,000 followers on Instagram. And the reason he is popular is because his viewers love his style of photography. This is his genre. He made a decision at some point to get good at this one genre, and he found success. So if you are looking to be inspired every day through your photography, then I invite you to follow our Instagram account, which is Earth Hotspots. And this is a Photography Academy account where we post photos from literally the best photos across Instagram every day, multiple photographers every day. This account will give you amazing inspiration because every photo that we post is already a winning photo. We only post photos that are wildly popular to start with. And this is what brings us to our challenge for today. I'm coming to our challenge, and the prizes are coming right up, but I received so many messages yesterday asking for a copy of the Photographer's Manifesto, so I'm bringing it up right here again. I made a separate post with this graphic inside the Photography Academy Facebook group, and I recommend that you download it and save it on your phone, read it out loud as a reminder about who you are and what you're passionate about and what you are committed to. I am a photographer. I explore constantly. I stay focused. I take action. I endure hardship. I make no excuses. I live adventurously. I love planning. I am a lifelong learner. I create my own art. I seek beauty. I look for balance. I inspire. I never give up. I am just one photo away, and you are just one photo away from reaching your photography goals. So there is a challenge component to this summit because my objective is to help you grow and reach a new destination. I have shown you many genres today, including wildlife, birds, landscapes, macro, composites. Yesterday, your challenge was to make a decision on what it is that you want from your photography. And today, your challenge is to make a decision on the genre of photography or the type of photography that you want to get good at. If you try and get good at everything at once, then most likely you're not going to get good at anything at all. So today, I'm asking you and I am challenging you to make a decision. What genre or type of photography do you want to get good at? Remember what I told you yesterday, that if you make a decision but do not immediately take some type of action, then your decision will not have any meaning for you. It won't have any stickiness. So this is the immediate action step that you need to take now. You need to make a declaration here and now, or the decision that you make today will just be lost in the noise of your life. Next, so wherever you are watching this video from now, make a post in the chat. Begin your post with the word declaration, and then make your declaration about what genre or type of photography you want to get good at. Pick just one thing only. Just like every good composition is only a photo of just one thing. So like a good composition, pick just one thing that you really want to get good at. Tomorrow's schedule. So tomorrow we have, just going to go full screen on this. Oh, that's not, yeah, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Here we are. We have flower macro photography with Tim Dehan, and he has incredible photos that I'm so looking forward to showing you. We have an interview with him. We have an interview with Hobby Sons, with his incredible landscape photos that he has taken all over the world. We have more live prize giveaways, and I'm going to be presenting on how to add drama to your photos, and that's going to be an awesome presentation. So are you ready for some prize giveaways? Drop something in the chat if you're ready. I would like to see something new in the chat. Okay, I'm seeing some declarations here, so this is great to see. I'm very happy to see that. I really encourage you to make a decision on one thing that you want to focus on and get good at. Focus on the one thing. This is what is the winning principle in photography, the one thing. It's like so important when we are scattered and when we're so diversified in photography, especially when you think of what makes a good photo. When you diversify your composition and you add in a whole bunch of stuff, then your photo is forgettable and boring. When you focus on the one thing, your photo becomes memorable and powerful. And it's the same thing with your type of photography. And I highly encourage you to go all in on one thing, make your declaration. So prize giveaways, let's do this. So I am first, again, I'm going to give away a couple of copies of the Photo Cookbook. And the Photo Cookbook is a paper book, and it's got recipes inside it. The recipes have nothing to do with the kitchen. The recipes are, how do I take a photo of a sunset? How do I take a portrait photo? How do I create an HDR photo? How do I take a panorama? What are the rules of composition? What is a leading line? Each one has a recipe. There's 30 recipes, which is like a set of step-by-step instructions. And then inside each recipe, there is a code. You point your camera, you point your phone, you point your camera on your phone at this code, and it launches a video on your phone, and it gives you even more information. So I'm going to give away a couple of copies of the Photo Cookbook. And if you're interested in buying a copy of this book, then just visit photographyacademy.com. And at the very top of the page, you'll see a tab that says shop, and you can see the Photo Cookbook there. So I'm going to do a draw right now, and I'm going to choose a winner from YouTube and a winner from Facebook. I have a chat right on my screen right here, and in the chat it has the combined chat of both places. I'm going to whip the wheel on my mouse, and whoever name that my mouse lands on is going to be the winner. And here we go. And the first winner is Cynthia Betchy. And she is on YouTube. It looks like she is possibly from Connecticut. Cynthia Betchy, you are the winner. And also, I have a winner here from Facebook, and it is Lemon Mayo. M-I-A-O is your last name, Lemon Mayo. Looks like you're from Vermont. So congratulations to Cynthia and Lemon. You have both won a copy of the Photo Cookbook. Let's give something else away. And I am going to give away a copy of our course, which is called Tack Sharp Photography. Now, this is an in-depth course that shows you exactly how to take tack sharp photos. It's concise, it's to the point, and it creates the formula that you need to use in order to get absolutely tack sharp photos. We've sold many copies of this course. It gets 5-star reviews, and I created the course, and it's freaking awesome. I can't say anything more than that. So winner coming up from YouTube, it is Arch Booth. And congratulations to Arch Booth. And I'm going to choose somebody from Facebook. Just a second here. I seem to be having a bit of a glitch, and I'm not able to see a second Facebook user. So for this one here, I'm going to choose a second one from Facebook. It's JF Bergeron. JF Bergeron, you won a second copy of Tack Sharp Photography. Okay, let's move on. Lightroom Presets. I'm going to give away a set of my signature Lightroom Presets collection. These are like one-click photo editing. You import these into Lightroom, and you are able to edit your photo with just one click. We've sold over 10,000 of these, and we get nothing but 5-star reviews with them. So from Facebook, this is Lawrence Ko from Singapore. Congratulations to Lawrence Ko. Oh, and I didn't say what you need to do. If you're a winner, sorry about this, you need to send an email to support@timsphotos.com. So going right back to the 2 people who won the book and who won the Tack Sharp course, you need to send an email to support@timsphotos.com. And please, in full sentences, use subject line winner and explain that you won the whatever it is that you won, and give us your full address and your phone number. If we're going to be shipping something to you, we need your phone number as well. Okay, I'm going to give away next our flagship training program. This is the Photography Transformation Bundle. This is our masterclass. We have 8,000 photographers who have gone through this program. It comes with a bundle of 16 additional courses and tools like presets and a membership to our closed community where you can get help. This masterclass is the 4-step system that I created, being used by over 8,000 photographers from around the world who are achieving dramatic 5-star results with their photography. So I am going to draw a name. This person is from the Photography Academy Facebook group, and it's Charlie Bruce Perrin. And it looks like Charlie is from Alberta. So congratulations, Charlie. Please send an email to support@timsphotos.com. Tell us what you won, and we'll help you get that. So let's give away a couple of Manfrotto Pixie Mini tabletop tripods. This is something that I use, especially to photograph stuff that's really close to the ground. So coming from YouTube, I have Susan Funk from California. Congratulations, Susan. And from Facebook, I'm just spinning my mouse wheel here. I'm glad this works now. John F. Wolf from Texas. So congratulations to Susan and John. Please send an email to support@timsphotos.com. Subject line winner. Tell us what you won and give us your address and your phone number. All right, now I'm going to give away something really awesome, a Samsung portable hard drive. And these are awesome. If you're not backing up your photos, especially when you travel, like if you're traveling with a laptop, you really, really need to. So this is a 1 terabyte Samsung portable hard drive. And I'm spinning the mouse wheel here. And this is going to Robin Armentrout. Looks like you are possibly from Virginia, Manassas, Virginia. So congratulations to Robin Armentrout. Send an email to support@timsphotos.com. Subject line winner. Tell us what you won and give us your address and your phone number. And let's give away a backpack. I love the backpacks. I love photography backpacks. This is the Low Pro Fast Pack backpack. It sells for just under $100. So this one is going to, spinning the mouse wheel here, Bev Cobbett from the town of Fort Nelson, British Columbia. Congratulations to Bev. So here's a summary of your day 2 challenge. Remember, there is a challenge component to this summit. If you make a decision, but you don't take some kind of action right away, then the decision will be meaningless to you in the long run. So this is your action step right now. What is the genre? What type of photography? What aspect of photography do you want to get good at? So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We were just shy of 2,000 people on all 3 platforms today. I thank you for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have so much more in store for you and some really great content. So I'm hoping that you will be here tomorrow. Invest in yourself. Think of this as an investment. It's only an hour of your time. 3 days from now, this whole thing will be over. We're going to be taking the videos down after the summit ends. So this is your one and only chance to actually receive this content. Remember, the goal of this whole summit is to help you take the best photo of your life. I've given you some massive knowledge bombs so far, and there are still many, many more to come. So thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I have something very important to discuss with you, and it's the issue of having photos that are tack sharp. Either your photos are tack sharp or they have a soft focus. And that's the difference between having a photo that is professional looking and having a photo that is amateur. If your photos are not tack sharp, you can't print them large and hang them on the wall. If they're not tack sharp, you can't post them on your website or post them to social media. You can't enter them in photography contests. You can never sell your work. A tack sharp photo means all the difference between a photo that is amateur and a photo that is professional. Now, I want to introduce you to my Tack Sharp Photography 3-step system. This is a video course with 21 different modules. It is contained in bite-sized pieces so that you can consume each module very quickly. It's about 90 minutes of content, and it contains my 3-step system that I use to take tack sharp photos in any situation so that your focus point will always be perfect, so that the focus mode will always be appropriate for the type of picture you're taking, so that you won't have motion blur in your photos, so you will no longer have soft focus and amateur looking tourist snapshots, but instead you'll have photos that are professional looking. Now, I'm also including my Tack Sharp Photography camera settings cheat sheet. This is a PDF that you would download, keep it on your phone so that you always have it with you in the field, and it tells you exactly the camera settings that you can use in any photography situation. So if you want to take a landscape photo, use these settings. If you want to take a wildlife photo, use these settings. If you want to take a moving sports type of photo, use these settings. If you want to take a portrait, use these settings. So this 3-step system will help you to take photos that are super crisp and tack sharp straight out of the camera. So I encourage you, if you want tack sharp photos and you want your photos to look super professional so that others will look at your photos and say, wow, that just looks amazing. How did you take that? Well, this is the way to do it. These are the secrets to how you can get tack sharp photos. So tap that button right now and you will be learning how to take photos that are professional looking, that are tack sharp once and for all. This is super easy content to learn, and it is going to help you take the photos that you've always wanted to take. So click the button right now.